The lights are on and nobody's on. Child, is LisaRaye's daughter saying what I think she's saying? And is she really spilling the beans on the state of her relationship with her mom? Now, the most that we've known about Kai Mere was on LisaRaye's reality TV show, and the two of them were as loved up as any mother and daughter duo could be. LisaRaye never missed a chance to rave about how unbreakable her bond with Kai Mere was, always painting a picture of deep closeness. But now, with new revelations surfacing, that image is starting to look more like fiction than fact. Kai recently hinted that all the lovey-dovey moments we saw on the show were nothing more than staged scenes for the spotlight. Behind the scenes, their connection might be far more strained than anyone imagined. And if whispers of Lisa competing with her own daughter are true, then this situation just went from dramatic to downright shocking. While fans know LisaRaye has a flair for drama, it is something else entirely to see that tension spilling into her relationship with her daughter. Honestly, it is pretty shocking to hear that there might have been underlying tension between LisaRaye and her daughter, considering how close they seemed on her reality series, The Real McCoy. Kai, Lisa's only child from her relationship with the ever-elusive Kenji Pace, a man so private that most people do not even know what he looks or sounds like, was always portrayed as her rock. After giving birth to Kai, LisaRaye tied the stud knot with NFL player Tony Martin in 1992. That union did not last long, and eventually she remarried in 2006, this time stepping into a political spotlight as the First Lady of Turks and Caicos through her marriage to Michael Missick. But that chapter too came to a close. Through every high and low, though, Kai remained the one steady figure in LisaRaye's life. So when Lisa returned to Hollywood after her split from Missick, she wasted no time launching her reality show, LisaRaye, The Real McCoy, in 2011. It promised a raw, unfiltered look into her world as a single mom, actress, and businesswoman. But now, with these recent revelations, fans are wondering just how real that reality truly was. On camera, LisaRaye and Kai seemed like the ultimate mother-daughter duo, laughing together, shopping side by side, and slaying every scene with coordinated style. At first, viewers were all in, touched by what appeared to be a strong, loving bond. But as the season unfolded, something began to feel a little off. While LisaRaye continued to speak openly about how close she and her daughter were, some moments on screen raised a few eyebrows. It was not just the usual expressions of affection you would expect from a mom and her daughter. As more episodes aired, fans were taken aback by scenes that showed LisaRaye and Kai kissing. Not the standard cheek pecks or warm embraces, but something that left many uncomfortable and questioning the boundaries of their closeness. It shifted the tone from sweet to strange, leaving viewers unsure of what they were really witnessing already. Lisa was sucking on her daughter's face like she was her man, and it was giving obsessed and not in a good way. On LisaRaye, The Real McCoy, just a heads up, this involves a mother and daughter dynamic that left many viewers confused. And no, the background music was not edited in. What you saw is exactly how it aired. LisaRaye made it clear, if there was money on the table, she was collecting all her kisses in return. Even when fans raised eyebrows and called her out, she stood firm. Kai was her only child, and LisaRaye saw no issue in being openly affectionate, even if it made others uncomfortable. "This is my child. I know for sure she came out of me," she said confidently. "You can never love your child too much." LisaRaye claimed she wanted to show parents that expressing love to your kids, well into adulthood, should be normalized. But what she failed to share was the alleged truth behind the scenes. The close bond we saw on screen might have been more for the cameras than real life. Kai, undeniably a beautiful young woman like her mother, was always presented as Lisa's pride and joy. On the show, Lisa tried to guide her into the modeling world, especially as a plus-size model, using her industry clout to open doors. But even in those efforts, Lisa often made herself the center of attention, so much so that production teams had to remind her that it was Kai's moment, not hers. From the outside, it always seemed like Kai was born into a world most people only fantasized about. To be the daughter of LisaRaye, an icon, a name that opened doors in fashion, film, and society, was a privilege very few could relate to. Lisa herself never let anyone forget that. She often reminded Kai that she was lucky, repeatedly, almost ritualistically. "You are blessed," she would say, "because you are my daughter. You have opportunities others would trade their lives for." These words were meant to inspire gratitude, to remind Kai of her unique position. But over time, they started to feel more like boundaries than encouragement. Lisa loved to publicly praise her daughter. She spoke about Kai's beauty, her poise, her effortless confidence, her natural curves that turned heads in every room. "She walks into a place and people notice," Lisa once said in an interview. "But let us be clear, what they are noticing is partly me. That grace, that aura, that comes from the bloodline. It is my legacy she carries." For the cameras, it sounded like maternal pride. But in private, Kai heard something else: ownership, expectation, and a not-so-subtle reminder that everything she had was on loan. To be raised in LisaRaye's shadow was both glamorous and suffocating. Kai grew up in designer clothes, attending elite schools, invited to red carpet events before she even understood what fame really meant. But with privilege came pressure. Every compliment was a comparison, every achievement silently measured against her mother's reputation. If she did well, it was because she had Lisa's blood. If she stumbled, the disappointment felt heavier because it was seen as a crack in the legacy. Kai once confided in a close friend that her mother's love felt like a contract. "She supports me, yes, but there is always a condition. She lifts me up, but I must stay in line. I must shine, but not more than her. I must be confident, but never too independent." This friend later said that Kai seemed exhausted, not from the demands of the public eye, but from constantly navigating the unspoken rules of her mother's affection. Lisa's guidance was relentless. She was deeply involved in every aspect of Kai's life: her wardrobe, her friend circle, her career choices. On paper, it looked like support, but to Kai, it felt like surveillance. She calls it mentoring. I call it micromanaging, Kai reportedly told a therapist during one of her private sessions. She had started therapy in her early 20s, after a series of public missteps that her mother insisted on managing through carefully crafted press releases. At events, Lisa always stood slightly in front of Kai during photos. During interviews, she often spoke for her daughter, cutting in to correct or clarify Kai's answers. To outsiders, they looked like a powerful mother-daughter duo, unstoppable and stylish. But those close to Kai saw something else: a girl trying to breathe beneath the weight of a legacy that never asked her how she felt about it. When Kai tried to branch out on her own, moving to a different city for college, declining a brand endorsement that Lisa arranged, choosing a different manager, there was tension. Lisa would say things like, "I know what is best," "You are not ready yet," or "Do not bite the hand that feeds you." These phrases echoed in Kai's mind, creating a loop of guilt, doubt, and silent rebellion. She wanted her mother's approval, but not at the cost of her identity. One of the turning points came when Kai began dating someone her mother did not approve of. Lisa made it clear that the relationship would be bad for her image. "You are building a brand," she told her. "Everything you do reflects on me." Kai was shocked. She had thought her personal life was hers to live, but here was her mother, reminding her that even love needed to be curated. When she refused to end the relationship, Lisa cut off her access to the family stylist, revoked her invitation to a major fashion gala, and made passive-aggressive comments in interviews about children who forget where they come from. Friends began to notice that Kai often looked anxious when her mother's name came up. She flinched when her phone buzzed during family holidays, unsure whether it would be praise or another list of corrections. She smiled in public, but in private, she journaled about feeling like a prop in her mother's ongoing narrative. She says, "She made me. Sometimes I wonder if I am allowed to remake myself." The complexity of their relationship began to show more clearly when Kai started speaking at panels and writing essays on identity and autonomy. Without naming her mother directly, she often spoke about the dangers of conditional love and the invisible cage of expectations. "Sometimes the people who say they are protecting you are the very ones holding you hostage," she wrote in a now viral blog post. Readers praised her courage, calling her words a powerful commentary on generational pressure and the price of privilege. Lisa's reaction was, predictably, mixed. She praised her daughter's eloquence in public, posting the article with captions like, "So proud of my baby girl." But behind closed doors, there were arguments. Lisa accused her of being ungrateful, of airing private matters in public. "Do you want to destroy everything I built for you?" she allegedly said during one heated phone call. The irony was not lost on Kai. Her mother had built a brand on transparency, authenticity, and empowerment. It often felt like LisaRaye was less focused on raising a daughter and more interested in grooming a mirror image of herself, someone to carry her legacy rather than live freely as an individual. On screen, she played the role of the warm, loving mother with ease. But behind the scenes, Kai felt more like a brand accessory than a beloved child. Kai opened up about how Lisa would send her away to boarding schools without much explanation, leaving their connection strained and distant. While Kai tried to justify it by saying her mom was probably just overwhelmed or busy, she could not shake the underlying sense of abandonment. As a teenager, Kai admitted she had her challenges, but instead of receiving patience and support, she felt like she was being cast away, handled, not nurtured. When the real McCoy came into the picture, it was déjà vu. Kai was placed back in the spotlight, not for her own growth, but to enhance her mother's narrative. Even as LisaRaye claimed she was helping Kai break into the modeling world, her controlling instincts often took over. She inserted herself into nearly every part of Kai's career, believing she was providing structure, when in reality, it felt like she was competing. Kai even reflected on this dynamic herself, acknowledging a subtle but real rivalry between her and her mother. LisaRaye's comments about Kai only booking gigs because of her name made it hard for Kai to feel accomplished on her own terms. It was a constant reminder that she was still in her mother's shadow, that her success came with an asterisk. It painted a clear picture. LisaRaye always had to be the center of attention, even in her daughter's story. And although she may have wanted Kai to thrive, it seemed she never wanted her to shine brighter. Now in her 30s and raising a child of her own, Kai is still grappling with the weight of that history, trying to carve out her own identity while disentangling herself from a lifetime of living in someone else's spotlight. When Kai appeared on Love Fix My Life alongside her mother, she opened up in a deeply emotional moment, confessing that she felt lost, uncertain of her purpose, and unsure of which path to take in life. Instead of offering support or understanding, LisaRaye brushed off her daughter's vulnerability. She chalked Kai's struggles up to laziness, claiming her daughter had become too comfortable relying on her rather than pursuing independence. But here is the thing. When every meaningful relationship in your life starts falling apart, maybe the problem is not everyone else. Maybe the universe is nudging you to take a hard look in the mirror. And no matter how hard LisaRaye tries to justify her actions, many observers believe she has left some lasting emotional damage in her daughter's life. They are calling for her to stop portraying herself as the flawless, all-sacrificing mother. Some critics have gone as far as labeling LisaRaye a narcissist, suggesting she thrives on having her daughter remain emotionally dependent on her. She even said at one point that she does not believe Kai is truly grown at 30. That kind of mindset, they say, is less about protection and more about control. And it is that control that Kai will likely need therapy to unravel, especially if she hopes to break out of what appears to be a cycle of codependency. Now imagine how conflicting it must have felt for Kai to be kissed and clung to on national television by a mother who, during her childhood, seemed emotionally and physically distant. How confusing it must have been to be presented to the world as the beloved daughter while privately feeling neglected, even pushed aside. That kind of disconnect can breed deep emotional wounds, resentment, grief, and a numbness that lingers. People still remember how often LisaRaye would kiss her daughter on that reality show, sometimes every few minutes. While it may have seemed like affection on the surface, many now interpret it as a performance, perhaps even a form of emotional manipulation disguised as love. So what do you think? Have you ever watched LisaRaye's reality show and seen their dynamic for yourself? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and do not forget to subscribe. Until next time, stay tuned.